Hey legends, hope you are well, having a wonderful evening. Big love to you, big love to your family. Thank you for tuning in. Today we're going to talk a little bit about three pillars within the holistic success space: mind, body, and spirit. And in particular today we're going to define those three elements or those three pillars as mindset mastery, energy management, and the spiritual element being purpose. So purpose alignment. So those are going to be the three key things that we're going to talk about today. But holistic success is just a journey, right? It's not something that I don't know if anyone will ever can truly achieve holistic success across the board. Um, Probably at a space where you're just sort of floating off into the nothingness if you can truly say that you've achieved holistic success. But it's an ongoing journey, and it's one that I think is very, very important to go on to align yourself across those key pillars that we talk about a fair bit in, family, health, wellness, mindset, abundance, all of those kind of spaces. So, first topic we're going to talk about is growth. So when we talk about mindset mastery, one of the most important aspects of this for me has been having a growth mindset rather than a fixed mindset. And one of the biggest shifts for me has been starting to see every roadblock and every hurdle as a lesson. So as a lesson that I need to overcome in order to unlock more of the power that my higher self is waiting to give me, right? So if we hold the premise that we all have a purpose, then naturally there needs to be some safeguards in place to be able to unlock that power, right? To make sure that we do that, use it for good or use it in a way that feeds a good intention or a pure intention rather than an evil or destructive one. And for me, that's where the ego comes in. So for me, the ego is the gatekeeper to the power of our soul, right? To our higher self. It puts the roadblocks, it puts the hurdles, it puts the lessons in place for us to overcome in order to step more into that power, to fulfill our purpose and to really move forward in that space. And it's been such an important reframe for me to go from a place of seeing, being in a place where I'm saying, oh, I'm really stuck here, I can't see a path forward, I'm feeling really defeated, to going, okay, well, let's have a look at this from another angle. This is just a lesson that I need to work through. There's some gold here for me to learn to be able to step through and to be able to step more into my power. And you may experience this if you ever reflect back on your life. And I do this all the time where I think back to moments where I was thinking, why the hell am I going through this? What is the purpose of this? Why am I feeling this? Why am I experiencing this? Why am I putting myself in these situations? And now looking back and connecting it to what I'm doing now, it's like, oh, that makes so much sense. I can completely understand why I was put into that situation or why I was presented with that challenge, because now it's helping me out in this way. And I find that, especially when we're younger and we're not as clued into our mission, to our why, and to our purpose, we tend to experience those things a lot more frequently because we are out of alignment with our purpose. We haven't had those aha moments that have kicked us up the backside to go, well, this is where I want to go and this is really what I want to do moving forward. So shifting that is so important. And when we do that and when we start to see them as lessons, it gives us a beautiful opportunity to reflect on the mining the gold, mining that situation, learning the lesson, and then actioning it moving forward, which allows us to make sure that we don't have energy leaking backwards, right? If we just see everything as a roadblock or a challenge and we get really defeated by that, then the chances are we're actually going to bypass that. We're actually going to try and forget about it or squash it down. And then when we do that, when we come at it from a negative aspect or a negative relationship, dysfunctional relationship, we're only going to create more dysfunctional habits, more dysfunctional programming off the back of it. So invariably when we have a fixed mindset or a dysfunctional mindset when it comes to growth or mindset mastery, we'll squash that emotion down, we'll squash that moment down, and that'll just linger. And what we know about energy being that when energy is still, when energy is stagnant and we squash it down, it creates inflammation, it creates a block, which then festers and gets deeper and deeper and deeper, and all of a sudden you've got a really big trauma, you've got a really big energetic block that you have to work through in the future in order to take that next step to where you want to go. So growth, having a growth mindset is so important. Shifting your perspective from seeing everything as a roadblock or a hurdle to seeing it as a lesson that you've had put in front of you to unlock more of the power within is so beneficial, and it's been such a massive reframe for me. Alright, so when it comes to time, energy, just managing our time effectively isn't enough to create holistic success. Now, it's an important step, but we also have to manage our energy effectively. And when we start to do this, we start to not only review where we're putting our energy, but we start to put it in the right places. So I'm a big believer that we can learn all of our lessons from nature, and one of the biggest lessons for nature is that everything is a part of an ecosystem. And so for me, I'm a big believer in putting my energy in the right places. So my outputs aligning with the inputs that I want to receive. So making sure that where you are giving energy is aligned to where you want to receive energy, right? So, and this is probably something that I think all service providers or healers or coaches probably struggle with. Giving, and not really receiving anything in return. A lot of people do this at the start of their journey by giving out free sessions, giving out their time for free, and all it really does is mean that you get the wrong energy back in return, right? It doesn't help you create abundance. It doesn't actually help you create spaciousness. More often than not, it actually leads to more stress because you aren't actually creating any income in return, and therefore you find yourself, a lot of people find themselves giving up and dropping back into their 9 to 5 or whatever it might be. So making sure that our energy that we are giving out is in alignment, and that's going to feed all of your time, energy. It's going to feed all of your time commitments as well. But this has been a massive shift for me. So one of the things that I like to do in this space is when I feel a little bit of anxiousness, when I feel a little bit off, out of alignment, a framework that I really love to use is called BOD. And you can use this in any situation that you come across. So the breathe stands for breathe. The B stands for breathe. So just dropping down the eyes in any situation, anything where you feel a little bit conflicted, where your mind or your heart starts to go, oh, hold on, we might need to have a think about this. Or you're feeling yourself losing energy or being really drained in the situation, I like to use this practice or this framework. B being breathe. So just taking an opportunity to breathe, dropping into your space, connecting in with yourself, a little bit of box breathing, maybe 3 or 4 really deep breaths to really drop into yourself. The O stands for observe, so just observing the situation for what it is, pulling yourself out of that first person orientation, dropping yourself into the liminal space, being able to just observe, removing your social identity or your values or your beliefs, all of those things, and just observing the situation for what it is without attachment, without emotion. And then from there, deciding a path forward. So the D stands for decide. So we're just deciding, right? We're connecting back. When we're in this O space, we're observing, and we're just observing that in alignment with our vision. And then when we exit the liminal space or that space of observation, we want to anchor back in to alignment with our vision and then make a choice and just decide. We can either choose to act in out of alignment with our vision, which will probably, if we've gained a little bit of an awareness that something's out of alignment, then we probably are acting out of alignment with our vision, right? If this process is being prompted. So we want to re-anchor ourselves back into our vision, whatever that area may be that we're doing this process for, and then just make a choice. Make a choice to either follow that alignment towards our vision or to not. And we can choose either way, just because we have a vision doesn't mean we have to always choose to act in alignment with it. There's times where we don't, right? There's times where we actually let ourselves down, and the real momentum starts to come when we start to not do that more often, when we start to choose to act in alignment with our vision, no matter the consequences, no matter how hard it may be. The more we do that, the more we step into our vision. So remember this one. 2 keys here from an energy management point of view. You want to have your outputs going in the spaces where it will get the inputs that you want to receive from an energy point of view back. And why this is important is because of that ecosystem. So ecosystem tells us that we give more than we receive, right? But when we do that, we generally receive more back, or the level at which we receive, that energy level has increased, which then increases our capacity to give, which then means that we receive more back in return, and then we can give more, receive more, give more, receive more. And it's a beautiful energetic loop of exchange. And the second key point under energy management is BOD. Breathe, observe, and decide. Should have figured that out before I started. So our last point today when it comes to holistic success is purpose and impact. Just snuck it in. Because success without purpose leads to unfulfillment, right? And so many people get to this space where they create success, and I was in this space where I was living a good life, good career, good income, all the toys, very much a set for life position. But I was unfulfilled. I was giving, if you think back about that energy, I was giving energies and not really receiving energy back in a way that was aligned with me. So I was receiving energy back in regards to finances, in regards to status, in regards to other people's accolades, but that wasn't actually aligned with what I wanted. What I wanted was to really help people to create a different impact in the world and to do that in a way that felt aligned. And I wasn't doing that. And so all of a sudden I wasn't connected or aligned with my vision of what purpose and impact looked for, which is such a key when it comes to holistic success. You know, it's success that's not just about the financial side of things. You see so many people in life get to this space where they have all the toys, all of the things, and then they don't feel fulfilled, they feel unhappy. And that's why it's so important, right? And it all comes back. So purpose and impact all comes back to vision. Don't know if you can hear that out in the background, but it sounds like the rest of the family's having a good wrestle. So when our vision is driven by purpose and impact rather than egoic needs like finance, status, anything that strokes the ego, we're gonna find a lot more happiness. We're gonna find that joy of life. We're gonna all of a sudden know that what we're doing is important. And I think as humans, we all want to have that sense of fulfillment. We all want to feel like our time here matters. And for me, that's probably been the biggest reframe in regards to this, is that in the grand scheme of things, my time here on this planet is very, very limited. It's in the grand scheme of impact across a wide range of all time and space. The impact that I can have is minuscule, right? Think about how long the universe has been around for. Our period here, this video, my whole life, is going to be a very, very minuscule impact. No, it doesn't matter how much I impact. If I change the world, even if I change the world, my impact is still limited and very, very minuscule in the grand scheme of things, right? But for me, the point where you know that your vision is driven by purpose and impact and is aligned with what you're here to do and is aligned with your purpose is the moment where you recognize that, and you recognize that your impact is very, very minimal in the grand scheme of things, but you still choose to do it. You choose to do it because you know it's important. You choose to do it because it feels right. You choose to do it because it lights you up and creates enjoyment. And for me, that's all you really need to know when it comes to this pillar of holistic success. That no matter what comes up, no matter how minuscule your impact is going to be in the grand scheme of things, you still choose to do it. You still choose to wake up early every morning. You still choose to miss out on those events where your friends are going to because you've got to get some stuff done. You still choose to do everything you can to bring this vision to reality. And for me, that's so important. And if you can do that, then the fulfillment, the joy, the happiness, the abundance is going to come off the back of this. Because again, if we think about the ecosystem, when we give, we receive. Yeah, when we give in the right areas, we're going to receive that so much back. And our mind is going to see everything in abundance. When we give in the right areas, we'll receive so much more in return. The universe will look after you. Nature will look after you. And that natural ecosystem will really feed what you're doing. So to recap, the 3 pillars that we've talked about today from holistic success were mindset mastery, having a growth mindset, making sure that you see all of the roadblocks and hurdles as lessons and really reflect and mine that gold. 2 is our energy management, not just time management, but energy management, making sure that our outputs equal the inputs that we want to receive. And when we feel ourselves giving in the wrong areas, just taking a moment to use that framework of breathe, observe, and decide. BOD. And then lastly, purpose and impact. Our spiritual pillar, right? The purpose, the thing that we're here to do, all comes back to this vision and making sure that our vision is in alignment with the truth of what we're here to create. Understanding that, sure, our impact in the grand scheme of all time and space may be very, very limited, but it's important nonetheless, and it's something that we're going to do nonetheless. Big love to you, big love to your family. Hope you got some value out of this video. See you on the next one.